Thank you. Look, I've been very touched by your testimonies here today. No doubt, you know, the road to parenthood hasn't been easy for any of you. And the stories that I've heard today, you know, they're heartbreaking. I mean, having a stillborn baby, losing a baby, being unable to give birth, and then being denied the chance to adopt, which is really awful, you know, considering that there's 140 million children in this world that are orphans, that there's 100,000 orphans in Ukraine. So, you know, to be told that you cannot do it for medical reasons, did you think about, you obviously couldn't do it for medical reasons, and they told you couldn't do it for medical reasons. Was that an option for anybody else to look at adoption? Just asking, was that an option for anybody? And, you know, I hear what you're saying, Kathy, in relation to the surrogate mother and the counselling after the birth, and, you know, the fact that she is in touch with you and wants contact with you. That emotional bond is going to be there forever, I suppose. And a day, you know, you are the parent of the mother of her child. So how will that affect you going forward? How will it affect your family going forward? How will it affect the children? And how does it affect the surrogate mother long term? So they're the questions that I have. And when you looked at Ukraine, did you look at some of the issues around the surrogacy there in relation to what the Ombudsman for Children would have said about surrogacy in that country? So why Ukraine in particular? And that's basically it. Thank you.
And thank you, Senator. First of all, I'd like to say that, yes, I understand in terms of the long-term effects, but I would like to have on record that the children are not her children. Okay. They are very much our children. But in terms of our research and everything that we did into to look at surrogacy, and I appreciate your comments and I appreciate your understanding, you know, of the reasons why we have to avail of it. For us, the reasons why Ukraine were hugely important to us was there's a couple of situations in Ukraine. Number one, in order to avail of surrogacy in Ukraine, you have to be a heterosexual married couple. You have to have a medical reason for undergoing surrogacy. And we met the criteria in that regard. In terms of the lengths that they go to ensure that you have a medical reason, they are robust. I had to get letters from my fertility doctor. I had to produce my child's stillborn certificate and send it to them. There was lots of paperwork that needed to be involved before we even got to the point of being accepted to undergo surrogacy in Ukraine. Yes, of course, we researched about the situations, and the first thing that we did, and we'd advise any people to do, is to take legal advice. And we were very lucky in that the legal representation that we got had experience and was able to steer us in the right direction. At the end of the day, the women who are carrying your children, you have to be able to make sure that they are being looked after, not just for yourself, but for your children. Because like I say, we bear witness to them. You know, as Ted and Elsie grow up, I have to be able to look them in the eye and tell them that I made sure every step of the way that the woman who carried them was protected. And so a couple of ways that we did that, I suppose, just personally, was when we went to Ukraine. First of all, like I say, we met her without any agency being there, and had a chat and to talk about her motives for doing it and why she wanted to do it, and whether we thought, you know, that it would work for all of us together. Then we had the meeting with the agency, like I said, but also one of the things that was really, really important to us was that we ensured every step of the process, that we spent time alone with her so that she wasn't being monitored in any way, and she had free rein to, you know, highlight any problems that she was having. We also flew over there when she moved to the city where she was going to give birth. We flew over to check out her accommodation to make sure that it was of a proper standard for her and her children who came with her. And we did due diligence to the best that we could to make sure that, you know, she was absolutely protected. After our twins were born, they were in the neonatal unit for 10 days. Ivana was in hospital for 3 days. When she left the hospital, she came to stay with us. And, you know, I felt that I had a responsibility, because her family lived further away, that I had a responsibility to make sure that she was okay as well. So she came to stay with us, and every day we'd go and visit the twins, and I'd ask her, did she want to come? And she'd say, no, I'm done. I rest, I watch TV. But of course she did come, you know, and I felt that was really important as well. When we went for the DNA test, so that the Irish officials could, you know, be there for the DNA test to make sure that she was okay and that, you know, she was there of her own free will. We all travelled together. We didn't travel separately. This was very much a relationship that had been built on. And she stayed with us after that until simply she had enough of us and she wanted to go home to her own family. And that was the point that she left and went home to her boys. But also in terms of, she was taken into hospital earlier and her mother hadn't arrived yet to look after her children. So whilst she was in hospital having my children, I cared for her children. And it was, you know, the relationship that was there was very solid, and I trusted her with mine, so she trusted me with hers. And that we went through everything that we possibly could in terms of that. And then long term, like Ted and Elsie are 2.5 now. We would speak to Ivana regularly. We'd speak to her children regularly. You know, we'd send like little drawings back and forward. But 100%, she does not consider them the mother. She does not consider herself the mother of the children, because I am. And she now is living with us. So due to the crisis in Ukraine, I felt like I needed to do something to ensure and protect her, just like she had protected my children. So she is now living with us in a 2-bedroom cottage in County Wicklow, where life is, we've 3 adults and 5 children in the little cottage. But it doesn't matter if we have no room in the house, because there's plenty of room in our hearts. And we are able to prove to Ivana that when I stood in her kitchen and told her she was part of our family,
You meant it.
that I meant it.
No, and I have to say, my heart goes out to you. I think that you are an incredibly brave woman to embrace that mother the way you have, and to bring her into your lives, and to bring her children into your lives, but also into your own children's lives as well. And that's an incredibly brave thing to do. And you know, it's one of the comments, and I'm sorry, I have to leave, but there's one of the things you said: I do not exist. Anyone that gives love to a child exists. Let me just say that here and now. And I mean, I know this because I would have fostered over the years. I would have had long-term care, maybe of foster children, maybe 4. I had 4 long-term and maybe about 150 through my doors. And anyone that gives care and love to a child exists. They see you as the parent. They see you as the parent. My only concern is that that mother that gave birth to your child would always have that title as birth mother. And I hope you wouldn't take that in the wrong way, because I always see that mother as the birth mother. You may be the parent, you may be the mother, you know, the mother love that you be able to give that child for the rest of their days. But that, for me, is because I, as a foster mother, I don't see myself as the mother, but I will love those children eternally while they're through my care. And they're my only concerns, that the mother would always be, the birth mother would always have that title as such, as and the children would know their true identity going forward in life. Yeah. And that is my only concern. But I look at,
Can I just come back to you on that,
yeah.
Sharon, just in that regard, in that, you know, I agree with you. The children deserve to know. They deserve to know that they were carried by another woman. And I think now the reality of it is, you know, at our kitchen table, we sit there, and even though I'm not invisible to my children, in the eyes of the law, I am invisible. And when we have our tea and breakfast in the morning, Ivana is legally their mother in Ireland.
I know.
And it's so difficult. But the one thing I will say is, from Ted and Elsie, and we break it down to the very basis, and we encourage everybody to do this. Ted and Elsie at 2.5 are able to tell people that Mommy's tummy was broken and Ivana is their tummy mummy. And so that's how they say it. And even now when people come into the house, they say, where's Ivana? Who's Ivana? And Ted and Elsie go, she's my tummy mummy. And it's lovely to celebrate the fact that that is the case, and that will be a lifelong relationship. So I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I suppose the ghost children, nobody wants ghost children in this state. Nobody wants ghost mothers. Nobody wants a ghost parent. We want to, you know, give people their full, true identity and legal ownership, not ownership, because I don't want to commodify children. I don't want to do that. I don't want to say, well, I don't want to say that. The commodification of children. I just don't like that at all, to tell you the truth. But we just don't want to have ghost children in our estate. We need to learn from the mistakes we made years ago here in this country. And whatever legal framework work to protect the children that are there today and going forward, we need to put it in place. And I understand the need to do that. So, and I'm sorry I have to leave now, but I appreciate all your statements here today, and I hope you know where I'm coming from. As a concerned member of this committee.
And Senator, can I just acknowledge as well, like, that we absolutely want the full identity, our child to know their full identity. Surrogate mother, where they were born, they know their full stories. And I know we discussed this the last day I was here, but I just want to reiterate that the child identity is a very important thing to our Irish families through surrogacy as well.
That's great. Thank you very much, and I appreciate that. Thank you.